It was summer of 2016. I was just relaxing, chilling, going about my day, and I decided to turn on my PlayStation 4. I know the footage shows a PlayStation 5, but I don't own a PlayStation 4 anymore. But regardless, I headed over to the PlayStation Network store, and then my eyes glazed upon the game that just released at the time. And this was a part of a long-running franchise that's been relatively popular in Japan. I played a few of the games before, one on my phone, and another one on my PC, but they never really grabbed me. But I guess because the premise of this particular game and the fact that I do enjoy these kind of games, I decided to give this one a whirl and I was immediately hooked. This is the story of how Dragon Quest Builders made me a Dragon Quest fan. And yeah, if you're surprised out of all the Dragon Quest games that have come out throughout the years, and you're thinking, really, Dragon Quest Builders was that game that got you hooked in the series? Well, it was a slow process. I didn't immediately start playing the other mainline Dragon Quest titles just because of Dragon Quest Builders. I played Dragon Quest Builders first, played that for a majority of my time, and then eventually down the line I started playing Dragon Quest 1 because I learned more about Dragon Quest Builders and the backstory, and then I moved on to play Dragon Quest 2, then Dragon Quest 4, then 11, and then the rest of the mainline titles. It was a slow process, one would say. And it's all thanks to this game right here, Dragon Quest Builders. And I think there's multiple reasons to why I feel so attached to Dragon Quest Builders. I own multiple versions of this game on my PlayStation 4, my PlayStation Vita, and even my Nintendo Switch. So for today, to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, which I know this is very late 1,000 sub special video, we're taking a look at the one game that made me a Dragon Quest fan. So, let's dive right in. To recollect on my first time playing Dragon Quest Builders, I didn't know anything about the first Dragon Quest game, and that's important right there because Dragon Quest Builders is a alternate sequel to the first game, which I'll explain later. I just knew this game was a Minecraft-like game, but I wasn't really interested in the story upon playing. The story here is that the evil Dragon Lord has taken over the land of Alfgard because the Scion Erdrick has chosen to fall ranks with the Dragon Lord. So the goddess Rubis has bestowed upon a legendary builder destined to rebuild the land of Alfgard and stop the evil Dragon Lord. And the legendary builder is entrusted to travel across Alfgard to rebuild the land. And that kind of got me interested. It's a story about rebuilding from the ground up after being heavily ravaged. So that already piqued my interest of rebuilding something to my own liking. And then I slowly got attached to the characters. You'll meet some characters throughout the adventure, and they tell you their needs in regards to being helped. And I grew attached with these characters. Some of these characters were relatively charming, which seemed to be a theme with the mainline Dragon Quest titles, charming characters. And these characters in Dragon Quest Builders, I grew attached to. I liked their personalities, and I liked helping them out with their needs. And the one other thing about the story is, it's sort of like a tutorial of helping you learn the mechanics of Dragon Quest Builders. Each mission is very particular of exactly what they need and what buildings need to be built. That from your perspective, it slowly teaches you about the mechanics and helps you learn how to build bases, build rooms, build beds, build weapons. That it slowly introduces you to that idea that yes, I need to build this, I need to build that. Which is the one thing I like about Dragon Quest Builders. For example, in Minecraft is typically a game where you do whatever you want. If you want to, you can look up online to how to build something, what are the most visually pleasing buildings, what are the most practical buildings, but it's all up to your transgression. You don't have anything really to guide you on your adventure in Minecraft, while with Dragon Quest Builders, they definitely handhold you throughout the adventure, teaching you about the mechanics and giving you a reason to build things in comparison to Minecraft. Minecraft, you're really just there to build whatever you want, whether solo or with your friends. While in Dragon Quest Builders, they give you a purpose to build these buildings because you want to help out these people. And for me, that was the main reason why I enjoyed Dragon Quest Builders. I wanted to help these people out. But of course, as time went on in 2016, games like Final Fantasy XV came out during that time, and that took away my interest. I wouldn't get back into Dragon Quest Builders until late 2017 because there were other games like Breath of the Wild, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, so on and so forth. But when I replayed Dragon Quest Builders for that second time, I did eventually stop only because I found out during a Nintendo Direct that Dragon Quest Builders was coming over to the Nintendo Switch, and seeing how that was my primary console at the time, I just decided to say, okay, I'll just wait for the Switch port. And in between that time, I ultimately decided to play the first Dragon Quest game because that's where I learned that Dragon Quest Builders was that pseudo-sequel to Dragon Quest 1, so might as well play the first game and see exactly how everything turned out. And this is where I learned about locations like Cantlin, Rilmodar, Cole, Galenholm, these locations that were once pristine before they were ravaged by the Dragon Lord. So by the time the Switch version came out and I messed around with that, I had a better understanding of these locations and learned more about the lore. For example, Cantlin, the giant golem that was guarding that location, turned against the citizens it was meant to protect. Or in Rimodar, it was heavily ravaged and poisoned by an evil condor. Just understanding the context of these locations in the original game and then going back and playing them on the Switch made me much more captivated understanding that backstory. But of course, that's just a portion of Dragon Quest Builders. Of course, the other portion has to do with the gameplay. And in many ways, it's pretty similar to Minecraft, where you go out and create buildings and create stuff from scratch. Though of course, there are some few differences here and there from Minecraft. For one, Minecraft is mostly played in the first-person perspective, while Dragon Quest Builders is a third-person perspective. Number 2, Dragon Quest Builders is very particular on how to create a room. It has to be 2 blocks tall, and you have to have a door, and you have to have a light source. If you don't have anything, it's not considered a room. So for example, if you have a bed but you don't have a torch in the room, you can't sleep in there. Whereas in Minecraft, you can actually sleep anywhere. If you build a bed, you place it on the ground, you can actually sleep there, no issues. Number 3, Dragon Quest Builders is more so a base building game rather than doing whatever you want, build whatever you want. Where you take care of these bases, help the citizens with their needs, and build them to their fullest potential, and these bases have their own leveling system. That leads us to our other point. Dragon Quest Builders is more concise in its goal, which is building these bases and helping the people out and then moving on to the next location, while Minecraft, while there is indeed an end goal, you're not really motivated to do it unless you really want to. So those are some of the few differences, but there are some few negative differences between Dragon Quest Builders and Minecraft that might be a little bit limited in mobility. What do I mean by that? Well, for one, you can't swim in Dragon Quest Builders. Number 2, when it comes down to the flexibility of buildings you can create, they only really want you to do those 2-block buildings and go from there. It's kind of hard to do multiple story buildings, for example. And number 3, other than the end and the nether, Minecraft is more interconnected in comparison to Dragon Quest Builders, to where in that game, you have multiple portals to go to each different location. And while those are some detractions to Dragon Quest Builders, I would say there's some other things that do benefit Dragon Quest Builders that's unique to Dragon Quest Builders. The side quests that you can do in the game, exploring at your own will in these locations, even though they're a little bit more limited in comparison to Minecraft. And hell, anytime you beat a chapter in Dragon Quest Builders, there's these challenges that they tell you can do in these chapters, like building a garden, fighting against these trained dragons, finding the secret location, so on and so forth. There are some things that Dragon Quest Builders uses to its fullest potential that are based off the mainline games, and brings it over to Dragon Quest Builders. And hell, if you want a more free experience like Minecraft, there is this mode called Terra Incognito, where you go out and do whatever you want, build whatever you want, get all the resources you need to make the things that you want. I wouldn't say it's the most perfect thing out there, but it's there if you really want it. But even then, that's not the reason I enjoy Dragon Quest Builders. As more of a sandbox, I enjoy it because I want to go out and build bases, build them to my liking, and help out the people that live in these locations because I generally do care about them. And now finally, I want to spend some time to talk about the music, because the one thing that most Dragon Quest fans like is the style of music that Dragon Quest uses from Koichi Sugiyama. And this definitely gave me a taste of the Dragon Quest music, primarily from the Erdrick trilogy, as they use music from Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, and they use music from 4, which, as a Dragon Quest fan now, I don't get why, seeing how this game is based on the Erdrick trilogy. But regardless, listening to these songs for the first time, or the second time in the case of Dragon Quest 4, I definitely felt some emotional bond with these songs, whether it's the sense of mystery was the overall theme from Dragon Quest 1, the sense that something is lurking around was the cave theme when it's nighttime, the sense of protection from the town theme in Dragon Quest 4 when you're in your base, a sense that a looming doom is coming was the battle theme from Dragon Quest 1 anytime you're engaged in a battle. Immediately when I played through Dragon Quest Builders and listened to the music, I immediately understood what Koichi Sugiyama was trying to convey with each piece of music. Even though nowadays I just don't get why they use music from Dragon Quest 4, but it is what it is. I understood the quality of the songs that Koji Sugiyama was able to produce. But of course, the other portion is the fact that they're using MIDIs for these songs, which I get most people don't like the MIDIs from Koji Sugiyama, but in the case of Dragon Quest Builders, I thought they were fine. And that's also the other motivation that made me want to play the other Dragon Quest games. I like the music from Dragon Quest Builders, so I want to listen to them in their respective games from Dragon Quest 1, Dragon Quest 2, Dragon Quest 3, so on and so forth. When you combine the interesting story to the unique gameplay that takes ideas from Minecraft and from its own series, and the music from Koichi Sugiyama, you have a game that made me ultimately get more interested in the Dragon Quest series. It made me much more curious on trying out the other games. Because like I said before, I did give Dragon Quest a try with Dragon Quest 4 and Dragon Quest Heroes, but they never really motivated me to play more. Dragon Quest 4 I felt I got lost at the beginning of the game, while Dragon Quest Heroes, even though I like Musou games, something didn't really click with me with this game in comparison to other Musou games. But Dragon Quest Builders, for whatever reason, felt much more inviting to me in comparison to those other games. And quite honestly, if that game didn't exist, I probably wouldn't be into Dragon Quest as much as I would. Most likely, I probably might play the first game or maybe the fourth game, try to trudge through them, but that's probably about it. Dragon Quest 11, I probably would pick that up because I want to support any other game that are not Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts from Square Enix, but I probably would just play about an hour or so, and then I'll just move on with my life. And hell, this channel right here, that's Royo, probably wouldn't exist without Dragon Quest Builders, if you can believe it or not, because without that game, I wouldn't be interested in the series in the first place, which wouldn't motivate me to look up other Dragon Quest YouTubers or anything of that sort. I would just be interested in anything else. And the one thing I should mention is that I used to do YouTube from 2015 until 2018, we'll say. And the only reason I stopped was because the channel was relatively small and it was more so a hobby more than anything, so I decided to move on to do other things. But if it weren't for the fact that I became more interested in Dragon Quest with Dragon Quest Builders, started looking up Dragon Quest YouTuber channels like Sack Chief, GC Positive, Dukio3, so on and so forth, I wouldn't be motivated to go out and start doing YouTube again and have it be more focused on Dragon Quest. That's how much of an impact Dragon Quest Builders had on me, that I adored games like Dragon Quest 11. I played through every single mainline Dragon Quest game in 2019. I wouldn't be here where I am today if it weren't for this game, in my honest opinion. And definitely the legacy shows with this game. The game receives multiple ports, whether on Nintendo Switch, your phones, and hell, even on PC, to which a majority of the footage that you're seeing for this video is from the PC version. And for sure, Dragon Quest Builders has a legacy not just for me, but for many other people and Square Enix themselves, because I'm assuming most people who got into Dragon Quest, the more recent Dragon Quest fans, got into it through Dragon Quest Builders. And it definitely did help to keep those guys on board, because in 2018, Dragon Quest Builders 2 released in Japan, and in 2019, elsewhere in the world. And I immediately picked that game up, and fell in love with that game as well in comparison to Dragon Quest Builders. It was basically everything I wanted in a sequel for Dragon Quest Builders. Much more mobility, the ability to swim, the ability to glide around all over the world. And that game came out at the right time to keep people on board, because in 2019, Square Enix also released Dragon Quest XI's on Nintendo Switch. And of course, already playing the PS4 version, I decided to pick up the Switch version and played through it from beginning to end again. And I think back during that time of discovering Dragon Quest Builders, playing through that, enjoying the heck out of it, and then eventually beating it in 2018 on my Nintendo Switch, and being motivated to play the other mainline Dragon Quest games from Dragon Quest 1, 2, till 11, and I'm glad for this game's existence, because if it weren't for this, I wouldn't be here talking about Dragon Quest, and that's a special thing. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and watching this 1000 subs special video. I know it took a while, but here we are. But hey, if you like this video, consider hitting that like button, and also don't forget to subscribe as well. And if you want to see more videos, do check out these videos right here. I personally think you'll enjoy them. See you guys on the next one. Take care.